to have rows about this for weeks afterwards. Uncle Parker would say that while he admitted that Daisy was a genius, she had to be, with a reading age of 7.4 and the way she was always writing her thoughts on walls, and what with having Aunt Celia for a mother, she was too young to have plotted anything as complicated as that. He would also point out that the whole thing had hinged not so much on Zero being under the table as on the moment when a certain cracker was pulled, Mr. Bagthorpe being the person who had made this suggestion and connived at its execution. Mr. Bagthorpe would retaliate by saying that the coincidence of Uncle Parker's having bought a large box of fireworks and of Uncle Parker's daughter being under the table with them might strike some people as rather more than coincidence. He would usually end up advising Uncle Parker to take himself and Daisy off to a psychiatrist. Fact the fifth. When Jack and Mr. Bagthorpe pulled the single available cracker, Zero, who was probably already nervous at being trapped so long under a table surrounded by so many feet and legs, had blown his mind. He had sprung forward, got both sets of paws wound in the tablecloth, and pulled the whole lot after him, including the cake. At the actual moment this happened, of course, no one had any inkling that Zero had been under the table, and the sight of the tablecloth leaping forward and rolling about on the floor had almost unhinged some of them, notably Grandma, Mrs. Bagthorpe, and Aunt Celia. The latter certainly always referred to it afterwards as a manifestation, and would refer to how Daisy had been delivered. This also helped to make Daisy seem less of a culprit, because it made her seem more a victim, and it was difficult to see her in both roles at once. Grandma herself, with it being her birthday and her cake, had taken the whole thing personally, and had thought she was being struck by a thunderbolt. She had miraculously escaped injury altogether, but Rosie's birthday portrait had been one of the first things to go up in flames, and always afterwards Grandma saw this as what she called a sign. A sign of what, she didn't specify, but she always said it very darkly, and when she was feeling low. Sometimes the others, to cheer her up when she got brooding about it, would say that if it were a sign, it was clearly a sign that Rosie's birthday portrait had not been worth a light, so to speak. Grandpa had not, of course, heard the whole lot of cracks and bangs as all the crackers Daisy had dismantled started going off, but had not failed to note that the last remaining stuffed egg had been suddenly snatched from under his very nose. He had risen hastily to grab after it, knocked over his own chair, tripped, and fallen over Grandma and lost his hearing aid. When the firemen came, they were very helpful and said they would keep an eye open for it, but what with the whole room by then ablaze and the curtains just beginning to catch fire, they didn't really have time. They were very good firemen, but they did seem nervous about bangers still going off and sudden flares of blue or green light. They definitely seemed jumpy. Afterwards, when they were having some beer with the Bagthorpes to moisten their dried-out mouths, they apologized for this. They said that the Bagthorpe fire was not really a run-of-the-mill job or something for which they had been properly prepared during their training. They stayed on quite a while after the fire was out. They sat round in the kitchen and told the Bagthorpes a lot of interesting things about arson and so on, and before they left, Rosie got all their autographs. They seemed quite flattered by this. Rosie told them the autographs were more of a gamble than anything, just in case one of them ever died rescuing someone from a burning building and became a national hero and got a post-mortem award on the television. Soon after this, the firemen left. When they had gone, Mrs. Fosdyke, who came in daily to do for the Bagthorpes but refused to sleep in, said she thought they had all looked too young and inexperienced to be proper firemen. She did not believe they had been a proper fire brigade at all, and said that her carpet and her furniture would not now be in the state they were in if a proper brigade had been sent in time. People were too easily deceived by uniforms, she said. Mrs. Fosdyke had missed the actual moment when the tablecloth went up in the air and was naturally bitter about this. Nobody did anything about cleaning up after the fire that night. They all sat round and talked about it till quite late. At around 10 o'clock, Mr. Bagthorpe went out to close his greenhouse for the night,